Okay, today's breaking news story, VORYS letters, that infamous corporate firm sending threatening letters to Amazon sellers, intellectual property right complaints against sellers, IP complaints based upon trademark allegations, multiple intellectual property complaints being asserted against sellers and how to deal with them and to protect your accounts, and if you do suffer suspension, how we get your accounts back. The rise in safety complaints and the different categories of safety complaints. And our last breaking news story has to do with booksellers. Complaints against booksellers, complaints that are bringing booksellers down, both account suspensions and listing suspensions. Okay, first breaking news story, VORYS letters. VORYS is a law firm that sends letters to sellers all around the United States, threatening litigation, threatening to take your accounts down, demanding that you provide all sorts of information. And the first thing I want you to know is that if you receive a VORYS threatening letter, you do not have to send VORYS anything at all. You don't have to disclose any information. You don't have to disclose your distributor. You do not have to do anything at all in response to a lawyer's letter. It is not a court order. It is meaningless in terms of what you must disclose. If you receive a VORYS letter and you get a little bit nervous, contact me directly. I'll walk you through the claims. Most of the claims that they assert are baseless. Some do have some merit, and if you call me or you contact my team, we'll walk you through each individual allegation. Second breaking news story, IP complaints, intellectual property right complaints, also called rights owner complaints, continue to be on the rise. And yesterday and the day before, we saw a definite increase in the amount of trademark complaints being asserted against sellers. Now, basic trademark law means you cannot take somebody else's logo and stick it on your products. Also, trademark complaints can be asserted against you if for some reason the products you are delivering to a consumer as a third-party seller somehow are outside of the first sale doctrine. Now, a lot of companies assert a ton of baseless trademark complaints. So if your listing is down or if your account is down, contact us. The first thing you need to do is to try and get a retraction. And you analyze what you were selling, and did you violate their IP rights or the rights owner rights, or did you not? Now, so the first thing you need to know is, one, were you actually violating someone's intellectual property rights? And then number two, how best to negotiate a retraction of that complaint. And if that fails, how to communicate with notice dispute to get Amazon to ignore the complaint. Okay, third breaking news story, multiple intellectual property complaints against sellers. Now, we saw this a few years back, right around the 4th of July, where there were tremendous sellers out there who had literally dozens and dozens of intellectual property right complaints that had been asserted against their account. And then suddenly one more came in and their entire account went down, and they were absolutely freaking out across the board. We dropped everything and got all those sellers back on. What we're seeing now with the breaking news now is that we're seeing smaller sellers who have been able to withstand 5 or 10 IP complaints or rights owner complaints. And then one more intellectual property right complaint comes in, and boom, your account is down. Once you have 5 or 10, and then that 11th one comes in, or the 14th one comes in, and your account goes down, now you're scrambling, and now it's an emergency to get your account back up. The way we handle that emergency is we start addressing the most recent IP complaint first and work our way backwards. And as soon as we have some traction, we then draft a plan of action that refers to our analysis, which also shows attempts to work with the brand. But the best thing for sellers is to address intellectual property right complaints as they come in and before it's an emergency. Okay, fourth breaking news story, safety complaints. Safety complaints come from a number of reasons. One, certain products just draw them in, like batteries that get warm and people write in that they think there's going to be a fire from a warm battery. Sometimes safety complaints come in because a known side effect, especially in the supplement industry, where a product like Garcinia Cambrosia makes you feel a bit nauseous in many people, and then they complain. That's a safety complaint. Products with expiration dates are often subject to safety complaints, And oftentimes the consumer is misreading the packaging, where they're reading a serial number that looks like an expiration date, or the expiration date is written the way they write it in Europe, where the month and the date are reversed compared to the way Americans write it. If you receive a safety complaint, your listing is going to go down immediately, and sometimes your account's going to go down. We are remarkably successful at picking apart the reason for the safety complaint and writing great plans of action to get you reinstated quickly. Fifth breaking news story. Booksellers and suspensions. Now for years now, the O&Z law firm has been coming down hard and making complaints and taking down sellers of textbooks. O&Z represents Cengage and Pearson and McGraw-Hill and just monster textbook publishers. What we're starting to see a surge of are complaints against booksellers who are outside the textbook industry. So if you are a bookseller and you are buying and selling books, chances are you are 100% protected under the first sale doctrine. That is today's breaking news for Amazon sellers, where we get to guide you and alert you from what we see from our 10,000 foot view. And I want you to know something, okay? We have received calls this week from many sellers who are watching other videos on YouTube and getting misinformation, getting wrong advice and bad advice and old advice. If you want the latest information on any issue at all that you are facing as an Amazon seller, visit AmazonSellersLawyer.com. AmazonSellersLawyer.com. Go to our blog page, and in that search engine, type any issue you want. Type the word inauthentic and you're going to come up with dozens of articles and videos about inauthentic suspensions, avoiding them and getting your accounts back. Also visit our YouTube channel for accurate information for sellers all over the world. Thank you very much for joining me for Amazon Sellers News.